Here's just a quick example of the full formula calculation that PERS uses to calculate benefit. This is a simplified version. There are other nuances and subtleties that go into the regular calculation, but this gives you a general idea. Because that previous slide, a lot of people think, well, the average, that means you had people with only 6 years of service or 7 years of service. Yeah, that's true, we did in that number in 2015. Of course, we had people with 42 years of service in that number as well. But if we take a couple of folks who are each making $4,000 a month, tier 1, tier 2, and up, serve 30 years of service. So full complement of service, multiply it times the general service factor. And you can see when you hear in the news, for those of you that have heard this idea that the new PERS is not as good as the old PERS. You can see in the pension factor there, OPSRP has a lower factor. So it is less lucrative just in the math. All right? There are some other issues that tie into that as well. So we take a look at the estimated pension benefit for a general service, so not police and fire in other words, and you can see a little, slightly above 50% for the tier 1, tier 2, and closer to that 44% number for the OPSRP individual there. So this is after 30 years of service. So just realizing that while our pension, if we do work a full career in public service, will be probably the dominant chunk of that income in our future dollars, but it's typically not everything that we want and perhaps need. And so that's where you have the supplemental plans that come into play. You've got a handout that's much nicer than this slide, but it does the same type of thing. It kind of compares the two types of supplemental plans that you have available to you, the 403B, the TSA, and the 457 plan. And so I just want to kind of spend a little bit of time talking about it. This would be true of any 403B or any 457 anywhere in the United States. So those 400 numbers are federal Internal Revenue Code designations. They're not, the OSGP is a 450, is specific to 457. No, we're just a vendor that provides 457 services. So you can see the similarities. The worksheet you have still may be the old numbers 18.5 from last year. They will periodically adjust that up for inflation, and they did that for 2019, adding another 500 to the 18.5 from last year. So $19,000 out of your salary is what you can contribute to a 403B and a 457 in the same year. So for folks that work in the education field in the state of Oregon, you folks can use both plans and there's no compatibility. They don't need to talk to each other about, well, how much are you deferring over here to reach. You get to max out in both plans in the same year if you just have loads of cash you're trying to get rid of out of your salary. So just know that. Both plans have the ability to place the catch-up as we get older. You might be living this. In other words, in all the years I've done this, either for the state or in the private sector, nobody comes into one of these workshops or a one-on-one meeting with me and says, you know, Jack, I started saving way too soon. I've got way too much cash saved up for retirement. It's freaking me out. And nobody says that. Most people say, I wish I started when they list an age. Some are younger than they are now. So the catch-up provisions in part reflect that. Because the single demographic that benefits the most from this, the 20-something, participates the least in it. And the demographic that's panicked as all get out is cramming money in as that 50-plus demographic. And many times we are maybe at a stage of life where kids and college and career expenses are we've taken, so we can maybe throw a little more salary at that. But anyway, both have the same ability to place and catch up as you get age 50 and older. So what I've done in red there, I've highlighted two of the components that 457 that are unique to 457 plans. So the red would be unique to 457s anywhere in the United States. Once again, not speaking to the OSGP specifically just yet. You have the, well, since we're on the catch-up topic, I'll hop down to the bottom. The 3-year catch-up. No other plan out there in federal law has the 3-year catch-up. The 3-year catch-up allows, is the most profound way you can defer money into a retirement plan anywhere in the United States. The 3-year catch-up, if you were to take full advantage of it this year, would allow you just into the 457 to defer $38,000, to double the 19. Okay? Now this has to come out of salary. This is not you writing us a check from the secret account that you have and sending it to us. So it's got to come out of your paycheck. You could defer up to $38,000 if you met some of the criteria that's required for your catch-up. And you can still, once again, maximize the 403B in the same year. So you can, once again, dump a lot of dollars in towards the back end of your career. So that's one thing that is unique to 457 plans. The other is the no early withdrawal penalty. Once again, unique to 457 plans across the nation. There is no 59.5 penalty for early withdrawal. So whenever you hear 457, I'd like you to, in your head, hear no tax penalty. 457, no tax penalty. 403Bs, 401As, 401Ks, IRAs, all will penalize you in most cases if you withdraw your money before you are age 59.5. 457s do not. And so this is why we're seeing more and more educational entities in the state gravitate, or at least start offering the 457 plan, because other than police and fire, education is the second youngest retirement demographic that PERS sees. So we see people getting into the education field, 30 years of service, retiring at 55, that kind of thing. They go to tap into their 403B to supplement their PERS, or maybe they work a second job, part-time, something like that. They go to supplement, and now they're being penalized for accessing this retirement account. Well, I thought it was for retirement. Yes, it is, but not until you get to this magic age. OSGP, 457, I should say, 457 plans do not have that age penalty. You can withdraw your funds from a 457 plan as soon as you sever employment. So that doesn't necessarily mean retirement. That means as soon as you're not working for the employer that you make the contributions through. So as soon as you leave Northwest Regional ESD, if you had, let's say, an Oregon Savings Growth Plan account, you could withdraw the money. You don't have to. You can keep it with us the rest of your life. You can roll other plans into the account. You can roll IRAs into the account, traditional IRAs, not Roth IRAs. So you can consolidate all of your retirement assets once you do retire out of the PERS system. In fact, I was just sitting in a quarterly advisory committee meeting this morning down in Salem, and we were looking at the dollar amount of rollovers into our plan. Right now, the single biggest source of those rollovers is from the IAP account. People retiring, but you can't do anything with it right now. There's no control over that right now. They're retiring, they're taking their IAP account and rolling it into their Oregon Savings Growth Plan account. Because we give you much more flexibility in when you choose to start taking money out of it. PERS will force you to start withdrawing out of the IAP in retirement. But if you don't need it or want it, you can't say stop. But you can roll it to the Oregon Savings Growth Plan and tell us stop. You don't need to take it out. You get to control when, so when you start your distributions or paying yourself, you get to choose how much you pay yourself and how often, and you can change your mind on that anytime. Whereas PERS, if you leave the IAP to them, they're going to force you into one of 6 distribution options, and you're pretty much stuck with it. Can't go up and down, change your mind, change the frequency, all that. So, so even if you've left the ESD, as long as you have an Oregon Savings Growth Plan account, it doesn't matter where you go out there, you're not going to be able to contribute to it unless you go to work for another public employer that uses our plan. So if you go to work for the Hillsborough School District, they participate in the plan, you'd actually re-enroll, because each local entity that participates in the plan, there's a separate trust established for the dollars for just that. So the ESD money is not commingled with the Hillsborough School District or commingled with mine, the big state trust. So you actually re-enroll. You can choose to combine the accounts once you've enrolled. So if you go to Hillsborough, start an account there, bring your ESD account over, now you have one account again. Or you can keep it separate, because now you have an emergency account. Remember, you've left the ESD, you have severed your employment. It's a 457 plan. You can withdraw it if you choose to. So now it becomes, so we'll see people that leave an old 457 plan in a 457 plan.